Hi there! Before we get started with the first chapter, let's spend few minutes looking at the course structure and also exploring the UI features for navigating through the site. So this is the dashboard that you will see once you sign up, and it has different menu items here, and one of the important ones is this one, course content, which has the entire curriculum. So the course is organized into sections here, section 1, 2, 3 and so on, and a section is nothing but a chapter. And within each section, if you click on it, you'll be able to see the different lectures, and almost all of the lectures in this course are video based. Okay, so these lectures are also referred to as lessons, and to view a particular lecture, all you need to do is just click on it and it will start the lecture, and once it ends, it automatically progresses to the next lesson. Now every chapter starts with an introduction here, where we will talk about the agenda for the chapter, and it also ends with a conclusion, which basically summarizes all the good points in that particular chapter. And almost all chapters also ends with a quiz. And so that's a chapter, and some of the lessons come with some additional resources. For instance, here, this particular lesson, there are some additional resources that come with the lesson. In this case, it's some additional notes, so you can just download the notes and read the notes. Now, if a particular lecture has a demo, then the demo programs are also uploaded into the resources section. Okay, so the resources section is basically a section that comes with each lecture. And if there is some additional notes or additional programs, then they are uploaded into the resources section of that particular lecture. So in this case, there is, and in the resources section, we have additional notes and also a demo program. This particular lecture has a demo. That's why we see this plus demo. So the demo program is uploaded here. In Java, it has a .java extension. So you would just download it, compile and run it. In case if you see that the demo program has a .txt extension, simply change it to .java and you are good to go. Now, many lectures are in slides format, and we do that because we are going to explain many of the concepts using nice animations, and the text is also very nicely emphasized. So we have slides and we also have demo programs, lot of demo programs. But if the slides are followed by the demo, then we have something like this in the title plus demo. But if the entire lecture is only demo type, then we will have the text demo followed by a colon and then the title of the lecture. So it would be either only slides or slides with demo or only demo. So that's the kind of structure that you will see. That's the kind of lessons that you will see in this course. Now the first lesson here, first chapter, gives a very high level overview of Java. In this particular chapter, we will also install Java and write our very first program. And sections 2, 3, 4 and 5 fall under the language basics series. So they cover the core language features in Java. And sections 7 and 8 are slightly more advanced. They cover the object-oriented features like inheritance, polymorphism, interfaces and so on. And to learn those concepts, we use a case study of a real-world social bookmarking application. So in this particular case study, we will look at the requirements and some of the features that it needs to have. And in order to build those features, we need to know some object-oriented concepts, and that's how we are going to learn our object-oriented concepts. So instead of using some toy example, we are using a more complex example of a real-world application. And the nice thing about this is later in the project, we are actually going to implement the same case study. So there is not going to be any context switch. In many of the courses, you will see that the examples used is one, and when it comes to implementation, they typically use a different example. So in this case, it's the same thing. So we are ready to implement when we get to the project. And here there is also the nice tutorial on Eclipse. It's a very good tutorial of 1.5 hour length, and it will help you to write Java programs in a very effective way. And before this section, so which means from 1 to 8, we will just write our programs using a text editor, and that's because Eclipse actually hides a lot of configuration details, and as a beginner programmer, you need to understand what those configuration details are. So that's why until section 8, we will be using a text editor, and then we will switch to Eclipse for the project and all of the subsequent lessons. And that will also help you to appreciate the features that an IDE like Eclipse offers. So you will see that how efficient you can be if you use an IDE. And after that, we also have this JVM internals chapter, which is a special chapter. And we have these chapters, exceptions, and exceptions is followed by input, output, and data structures. And more content will also be added into this course. So I'll be continuously updating the course. And here in exceptions, I mentioned in the introductory video that we are also going to talk about the best practices and design principles. So if you see a lecture having this kind of a title, best practices, it means that we are going to discuss some of the best practices or the design principles. And I also mentioned that we are going to discuss around 30 to 40% of the best practices prescribed in the book Effective Java, popular book Effective Java. In Effective Java, there are around 78 rules, and we will be discussing around 30 to 40% of them. And in that book, the rules are organized into items. So that's why sometimes you might just see this kind of a text, best practices. Sometimes I actually include the item number also, items 58 and 65. So in that case, we will be discussing that particular item, and we will discuss it in our own way. So we will use our own examples, and we will try to understand those items. Okay, and many of them are demonstrated too in code. So let's just go ahead and click on one of the videos here. Let's click on this one. Now let's look at something called finally block. We have seen how exceptions can be generated and how they can be handled. Now the first thing I would like to show is when we hover over it, so this particular item, it says speed. So this is the default speed that we have. But if you find my audio speed to be slow, then you can actually increase it. And this is the one I would recommend if you want to increase. Going above this, I think it would be too fast. And if you think it is too fast for you, you can also select this, but I think these are too slow. I think ideally you would either go with 1x or 1.25x. I think 1x should be good for most of them, but in case if it is too slow for you, just click on this and let's also look at this. We have also seen how exceptions can affect the control flow itself. That is, as soon as an exception is generated, rest of the try block is skipped and JVM starts looking for a matching exception handler. So I guess that's fine. A little bit funny, but I think it's still fine. Now that's the audio, and for the video, you can select either 1080 pixels or 720 pixels. 720 pixels is the default. So make sure that it is selected so that you can view the video in high definition. Okay, so you'll have a better viewing experience. Now there are over 200 lectures and you might want to save some of them. So if you want to bookmark any of them, just click on add bookmark here and make sure to hit enter here. Only then it gets saved. Or you can also add a comment and hit enter. Now when you save it and if you go back to the dashboard here, so you will be able to see that one of the menu items is bookmarks and there you will be able to view it. And if I hover over it, this tooltip here says that resources available, which means that this particular lecture comes with some resources. Okay, because it has a demo, so it does come with some resources. But if there are no resources, then you won't even see this kind of a tooltip. Now if you have some questions about this particular lecture, just click on this and click on ask a new question, and you can ask a question and I will definitely respond back very soon. But you might also want to search for a question to see if any other student has asked a similar question. So you can also do that, and you can also, if there are some questions, you can also reply to those questions and help other students. So let me close it. And that's about it. Let's go back to the dashboard. Okay, so that's about it. So let me just pull up some slides and let's look at what books you can follow. So this is one of the books that I would recommend. You don't have to really buy it, but we will be covering some of the items in this book. So it is the Effective Java book by Joshua Block. Typically most courses do not cover this. So they just cover the core Java. This is considered a little bit advanced stuff. But if you want to, you can buy this book. So that if we cover a particular item or if we discuss one particular item, you can actually read it from this book. But it is not really necessary. And other than that, these are some core Java books. So Harnessing Java is by Kishori Sharan, and there are volumes 1 and 2. If you want to, you can buy that, but it is not necessary at all. It's just for your reference. Same with Head First Java. Head First Java is really beginner's book. It explains everything using nice animations. So once again, not required at all. So this course is good enough. You don't have to buy any books. Only thing is, the effective Java book, you might want to buy it so that you can read some of the items which are discussed. And those items will also be covered, will also be discussed in our own way using our own examples. So it's going to be a bit different too. And make sure once you are done with the course, you might want to leave a review, good or bad, whatever it is. So do leave a review, as it can help other students and it can also help me also. So I think that's about it. That's about the course structure, and thank you, and we will soon get started.